Innovative, revolutionary, stellar development, purest universal knowledge. In a transformative, futuristic design. The Universal Body Enhancement Spaceship Unit. The very first new evolutionary spaceship technology has been rolled out for mass production. Our Universal Body Enhancement Spaceship Unit is constructed from high-quality materials carefully selected by our team of experts. Embedding the essence of the new GANS plasma science and technology, it uses collective plasma field technology for changing and enhancing the environment of the body of the man. This new plasma enhancement changes the environment of the body to allow it to return to its natural, balanced energetic condition, as in the womb of the mother, allowing every cell in the body of the man to find its natural, original field strength balance. The shape and field distribution in this new space plasma technology replicates the inner structure of the universe and replicates the balance fields from which the man was created at the point of inception in the womb of the mother, not only receiving balance in the physical, but also in the emotional sense too. For the first time in the history of man, a system has been developed and delivered which not only enhances the physical body of the man, but also enhances the emotional part of the user of the system, hence reducing and eliminating many problems that could not be solved in the world of science, to bring the body of the man into near perfection, as at the time of birth. This new spaceship technology can be within the reach of every man today and can be ordered by medical practitioners, sports specialists and healthcare centres. The Universal Enhancement Spaceship Unit, the future you have been waiting for, is here. The journey from space to spaceship technology has started. Every order is subject to a contractual agreement and might require additional accessories priced separately for applications according to each case. You can order or contact us at office@at.kfm.global for additional information.
Welcome everyone to the 306th Knowledge Seekers Workshop for Thursday, December 12th, 2019. This is a broadcast of the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute Education Department and part of the public teachings in English. My name's Rick Cramond. I'll be one of your hosts today along with Flint Mulhausen. And as usual, in these workshops, we are joined with Mr. Mayran Keshe of the Keshe Foundation. And I think he's ready to go with today's workshop. Hello, Mr. Keshe. Are you willing and able to do yet another workshop here with us?
Yeah, everything. Good morning, good day to you, as usual. Whenever you listen to this series of knowledge seekers. We try to dig deeper into knowledge this time and see how far we can go and how deep we can go in the gaining of the new knowledge. We see in the past few weeks and few months, many of the knowledge seekers are trying to find their souls and finding the power of their souls, try to understand their position and understanding of the strength of what is hidden within the gem of the creation of what they call created body. And some which think reach this point and start making claims oh, they've achieved this, and they don't need to be here and they don't need to be there. If you have managed to guide you to achieve and reach the what we call finding the strength of your soul, and you don't need to be or do things around the foundation. That was our soul, to become independent. That was our purpose. So, as we say, we see more people elevating themselves, finding out the new ways, but try to be humble enough to understand that once you make these kind of what we call steps, it's the time when you have lost the whole totality of it. Because these are the tests for us as beings, as created things, that we find our position in respect. And the whole structure goes on this basis, that we are here not just to find and elevate ourselves, we are here to elevate the soul of the others who needs elevation. And it'll be interesting to see how many of the what we call people who come close and start learning or go into these systems, what we call universal systems, and by being elevated, start making a lot of claims and positions. The beauty of it is we let the mankind to make these claims and what we call mistakes while they're here. Because once you enter the universal council, universal community, and then making the claims, you make a fool of yourselves. And this is what needs to be understood by many of you who have taken this path and become elevated, and in a way receive and become to understand the power of your soul. Be humble enough, otherwise you'll be humbled. It is a very, very fine line. And we've seen this happening in the recent past few weeks, number of people. Some become humble enough to understand more, and some claim to be the totality and don't know need. But in total, we have to have everything that what we call the balance is created, the totality is created. And it'll be interesting to see how these new souls who understand and become part of the totality of the understanding of elevation of the soul actually achieve it. Something. Those who reach the point of what we call salvation, the point of understanding how to elevate the soul of themselves, they become light. If no one, if anyone claims that I've reached the point I cannot become the light, is a false claim. The rest of it. This is one of the keys to understanding the position of the soul of the man. Because those who say I can achieve everything, sit and be watched to become the light. Then you understand that you become the giver. You become the center to be elevated, to elevate. And if anyone claims I have reached, I do not need the foundation, and you cannot make a light of your soul, it means you have nothing but fallacy. And we will see a lot of these things. These are the claims which should come from the same as clergy. These are the what we call new soul clergies who talk through the false understanding of their own position. And we'll see a lot of these. You remember we said, very beginning, everybody wanted to know if something is a gas, if you have a gas. We explained some gases, if you put in a freezer, they don't freeze because they create a condition. But many of you, when you created the gases, you took in the process of production some material state or conversion of matter, so you saw it freezing. And then you got lost. Some of you put vinegar and some of you put acid in it, and it got dissolved because everything was on the matter state. The way you created the gas was not of a higher quality, of the higher order. Then we explained the only way, more or less, the only way you can see a gas to be a gas or a water they give it to be a gas is to place it in a full bowl and put it at a 2,700 RPM, and you see a hole in the center. If you do that with the water, you never achieve it. But if you manage to create a right combination of materials, gases in that bowl becomes the light. And not many of Keshe Foundation researchers have managed to do that. And this is something which will become part of the understanding of the totality. It's the same with the soul of the man. When you achieve to reach the position of understanding your soul, that becomes a given, you become a light. And the funniest thing is, those who claim to be, and we allow them to come into the teaching, and they thought they're going to use the work of the foundation, never made any of these themselves. And what do you call it? Without actually doing anything, they made a lot of claims. And if you manage to understand the process of what is the difference between the matter and the gas by rotation of the ball, then you manage to achieve what we call the hollow center, which is the center of the totality of the energy. Then you have created the gas. And then if you can reach the next step to make this center ball into a light, then you have created the soul of the material.
Excuse me, Mr.
Yes.
Keshe, I think we lost the last sentence, or at least I did, after you said, if you manage to something, and then you gave the answer after. Yeah.
If you manage to create a hole in the center of the ball, Rick Ramon was one of the first ones who achieved this. Then they started putting gases in rotating ball, and we saw the center ball. Then you understand, you have understood the totality of the work. And in so many ways, you see the light because you are creator of the light. That center ball is like an electron to the proton of your soul. That creates a condition of the creation of the light. In the future, mankind will understand what this means. In the future, this is one of the ways to elevate the soul of the man. The confirmation of the existence of the proton comes by the rotation and the motion of the electron. In its rotation at high speed, confirms the existence of a higher order field, that the interaction at the light on Earth, it creates that light. When, as a nuclear physicist, you go through the first steps of the teaching of becoming to understand nuclear technology, they show you this. At that time, when we used to study, it was impossible to confirm the existence of proton, but we could see the white motion of electron around it. It is the same. In a way, in a new system, the enhancement system, we reach that point. We saturate the environment of the system in a position that the soul will shine. In the upcoming technologies which will be released, will be the same. Many of materials, many of even water contaminations, which man considers as to be hazardous, are a source of energy to the travels of the universe. It's us who has to understand in the future, in the depth of space, what condition creates that position for the soul, not of only the man, but the passengers of the universe to exist. Not just, I'm happy, it's good for me, I don't care about the rest. Mankind in the coming time will realize this, not only on the planet Earth, but throughout the space. Just something does not mean any use to you is not used to know. This is part of understanding the work of the universe, but at the same time, understanding the work of the soul of the in the coming time, man will become and matures enough to be able to understand this. Man will mature enough to be able to find out what his soul is made of. As I said, the time is ticking, and every day we're getting closer to be able to bring that point for man to receive the confirmation of his own soul. Existence of it is brightness of it, the strength that he can shine on the others. And if the Keshe Foundation knowledge seekers, which is increasing by hundreds and thousands every day, especially since we launched the enhancement unit, everyone is looking in salvation in the physical dimension with using these systems. But in fact, we have to look and see what it brings for elevation of our soul. Mankind, with this new understanding, should not look for the physical elevation of his physicality, but to look and see how the soul of the man will elevate, that it might lead to salvation from the pain of physicality. This is the process which we are going through, and this is the process that we'll complete in the coming weeks. Many of you will use the system, and many of you would not like to be back in the dimension of physicality. Is in the writing of the prophet of the past. They say, if we show you the beauty of the other side, you all will commit suicide to be on the other side. But with this new technology, you don't need to commit suicide to be on the other side. You are given the golden key in how to achieve it without the termination of the physical life. And then we'll see how, we'll see the behavior of the mankind will change. And then we'll see how mankind will elevate itself. And then this becomes like a virus across this planet. We will choose in that dimension. We will choose in that position that even we stay with the physical life, the position of it, the work of it, the contribution of it to the society, that elevates the other souls and maintains the existence of the souls. With this new technology doesn't mean that everything on this planet finished. It actually starts, but a new cycle will find out to exist on the mankind. And then this become part of the process of being able to travel the spans of the universe. In a coming time, in handfuls of times, of weeks and days, mankind will see this. You still go to school, you still go to work, but the work will have a different meaning. The knowledge will have a different meaning. The leaders of the nations will change the process of teaching, because it has to be changed that man understands the position of his soul first from infancy, not to be lied to when it becomes at a point of fear that if you don't do this, this is going to be the punishment and the rest. There is no punishment in the process, but understanding the position of receiving. It is part of what mankind needs to go to and through for us to be in that point. We hear many people say, we have to get into the system, then we tell you if it works. No problem. But you try to get in the system, which is yourself, then you know if it works. The process of the teaching, the work of the soul of the man will appear very soon. Would we have the solar schools, or would we have the souls who have elevated the school of soul to become the new generation of beings in the universe? The expectation will be high, but the delivery of the truth will come through the action of the man himself. As we open the doors with government, as we open the path through different channels, we'll see more and more how the position will change, how the condition will change. In step by step, world leaders will change, they bring that change, and step by step we will see the changes which come to accommodate the new understanding. And then we'll see the new passengers of the universe. Try to understand and try to comprehend the reality behind these systems which we deliver. As I said last time, the next step for us is not to just do the helping of the man with his soul, but the planet and what we've done to it, to the other animals, to others, in a way that mankind was left loose to do what he likes for thousands of years. We'll see the order will take place. We will see the change of the rules of engagement will take place. As I said, the universal community has been waiting for this little child to mature, and it's just getting to the point of maturity. They celebrate it with us, and they are with us, and they stay around till it's completed. I remember when we were in Brazil last time, they said, would you see the same rings and the same position in the sky as when you came? They came and we saw, and they were with us last night. And members of our team, we both have videoed it. The position for mankind to reach the next step is prepared, but it's mankind to understand. Do you need to build a spaceship, or do you enlighten enough to transfer your soul to the spaceship available above? This is the secret. If you remember, I explained to you when we met with heads of NASA in Strasbourg's Space University years ago, when I explain to them that how the new space technology will come, that by creating the right field, you get attracted by the gravitational fields of the moon. You don't need to burn any fuel. The head of NASA team said the game of the spaceship has started. The game of the space technology is over. What we've done with rocket and propulsion, which meant when the system, as we showed by creating the right fields, the system will fly to its destination. So now that we understand, as I said, we videoed them when we arrived, we videoed them last night again in the beautiful city of Brasilia. Those who claim have reached a point of maturity and understanding of totality, let's see if you can transfer yourself to it and become the true passenger of the universe. The new spaceship technology is to join the spaceship of the universal community, which is above you. And that has a criteria of peace. Understanding the peacefulness of the soul, then you'll be transferred, if this is the wish of the soul of the man. In a way, mankind does not need to go through the process of developing a spaceship technology, where the spaceships of the life, what the universe has been waiting for, is above you. Tune to it, and you'll find you become the passengers. You reach the ultimate goal of the freedom of the physicality. But that does not mean death. That doesn't mean the end of understanding of the totality. But in fact, it becomes the beginning of understanding of a bigger scale knowledge of the universe. If you are privileged and you're lucky to see these spaceships as what we have shown before, south of Italy, in Brasilia, and last night we saw it in interaction with the moon, not with the sun. See if you can elevate your soul to that level that you become passengers of these spaceships. Exactly as I explained to the heads of NASA, that by tuning into the gravitational magnetic field of the moon, it pulls it to itself. You don't need to burn to reach it. Then the dimension of the speed of light and everything else become nonsense of man-made bookkeeping. Then you understand the process as it started. Then you understand that many of the scientists at the highest level in governments have been waiting for, or they're aware, but they did not know how. As I said very recently, we have started a spark. And from that spark, the fire of conversion of the man's soul to the level of the soul of the universal community will start. One by one. And then it'll become uncontrollable, because it will transfer, it elevates the soul of the others to reach that point. But does not mean that we leave the dimension of physicality. This is the next step, and what we see from where we stand, a beautiful cycle has started. And in so many ways, if you claim you have reached the point of elevating yourself to any, let's see if you get picked up by the passengers of the universe. And then, let's see if you shine. Then mankind is ready to become part of the peaceful universal community. I do apologize, I have a bit of a cold today. Try to expand to understand the truth and not the arrogance. And if you understand you have reached the position of elevation of your soul and you can reach it, let's see first if you become a light. It means you become giver to enlighten the others to reach your level. And if you cannot do, you're exactly like those who make a lot of claims. As I said to one of the knowledge seekers, he asked me a question, do you know when you die? I said, yes, I know the place, the time, and when it happened. And at that point, there will be no dimension of physicality as we become the light. This is what the man should be. Then you understand the next position in your life, what to expect. We've done enough GANs making, we've done enough coil making and everything else. But now, as I said to a very good friend, we have made the elevator for the soul of the man through the enhancement unit. Mankind gets into elevator to go from floor 1 to floor 10. Now, these enhancement units are the elevators in the physical dimension to elevate the soul of the man to the higher level. Then you understand why you don't have a cancer. Then you understand why you don't have a Parkinson. Then you understand why you go in the system and you still have a Parkinson. Which means you have not understood. You have not cleaned up the path of the past. If you have cleaned up the path of the past with your own soul, you receive the dimension of elevation. You got to understand, it's the soul which has to accept the change, not the physicality. What you see with these new systems, that a man which is paralyzed to start walking because the soul has elevated. You're paralyzed for months and years in a wheelchair. Through the present medical technology, you cannot do. You need physiotherapy. You need this and that to be able to move the muscle slowly. But with this technology, within days you walk without any physiotherapy, which means the soul has received the elevation, and that elevation of the soul is received by the soul of physicality. So the condition of what we call paralysis or damage does not exist. This is what they said, resurrection. This is what Christ did, raising the dead. He elevated the soul of a dead body. That with it, he raised the soul of every cell, that the dead body woke up. But now the awakeness comes in consciousness of the man, not in the dimension of physicality. And many go to these machines to get salvation from pain of physicality, but they don't understand. They have to understand what they've done to their soul. And in understanding, they will receive the salvation, the understanding of the release from the dimension of physicality. Soon you will understand. As I said to someone very recently, these systems are getting launched the best time ever, at the beginning of a spring, not only for this planet, but for the soul of the man and humanity. Try to understand more about the fields of the plasma, not the physicality of the gas. try to understand what it means to exist within the fields, and then try to understand what it means to live within the dimension of the fields, but in the dimension of physicality, by the choice of the soul, not by the conformation of the existence. We are not teaching anymore, as I said, how to make answers. We're trying to teach how you create the fields that lead to freedom of the soul of the man in the dimension of physicality, but at the same time to have access to it. As I said, it's not a beam me up a Scotty anymore, but it's let me beam to become the sun for the others to enlighten. Then you'll find out you become the passengers of the universe. Today, this afternoon, in the city of Brasilia, we have a meeting with many Keshe Foundation followers who come especially for this meeting, a small conference organized in a few days. And many tried to be here, and many, because of the lack of time, could not get tickets to be here. Your soul is with us, and that's what it counts. The first true flights will come from South America. And soon you will understand why and how. And in so many ways, the doors for understanding the elevation of the soul of the man will come through the path which was chosen a long time ago. And for us to be in South America, there is a reason to fulfill part of the promise of the past. It's not coincidental. We've taken the technology into every continent of this planet, and now it's time to unify the totality. And South America was one of the last parts to be done. What is important in what we carry on in the next few weeks till we start the actual delivery of these new systems that elevates the soul of the man is to keep you on a position to understand gradually what is to come. For you to understand what is the next step. And for those who govern to understand the governing by injustice has come to an end. There are many people who want to get into these systems to test. We test and elevate those who are sick first, before those who pretend to be sick. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Keshe. There is a question in the Q&A from Beat Worry, who says, I have a question for Mr. Keshe. I built this spinning reactor with the 4 basic ganses inside. I am a lifelong meditator. He says he has not reached the Tibetan rainbow body yet. And today he's 65 years old. My bones and flexibility are not like a 20-year-old anymore. The last years I spent practicing just lying in my bed. When I sit in the reactor, I do not feel any tension in my body. My focus and concentration has increased dramatically and effortless. I sit for 1 hour and feel like only 10 minutes have passed. My question: is it possible that the plasma fields have a levitation effect on the physicality? That's what I feel. And is it possible that the plasma fields are bending time? Kind regards and much gratitude for all your work. Beat World.
As they say, when you have fun, you lose the track of time. When we tend to be in the dimension to enjoy or try to enjoy, we don't realize what the time is. Time is a man-made dimension. It does not exist anywhere in the universe except for man, and is based on the rotation of its own planet in respect to his, what we call, the vision of physicality. When you build these reactors that you try to understand, you have to understand what we call the last dimension, which mankind has not realized and is built in the structure of the new systems. This is what I explained before. No one will be able to replicate the work of the plasma units which we make. As I saw somebody said, we are going to buy one and strip it and show exactly everyone what to do. You know the story of the man who worked for what we call a potter, and worked for years and never understood why when he brought the pots out of the oven at night were black, and in the morning when he came back to work they were all white. For years he couldn't understand the secret of change of the color, till when the master was dying, and then he asked the master, can you tell me what's the secret that overnight you change the black pots to white? He said, it's just a blow. I blow the dust away and you see the beauty of the pot. I blow the ashes away and you see the dust gone and the beauty of what I made. This is the same. Just because you might get hold of one or whatever and you think you can copy, the soul of universe has no blueprint, and that's what you will not achieve. If you see anyone claims to make the systems that can do what the system made by what we call the procedure that we set up, you will find you have gone the wrong way. Try to understand that just by making the fields and not achieving, it means you have not made the totality of the spectrum of the fields needed to create that point. And if you think you reach the point of levitating, you have to understand how you create the condition of the field that brings certain type of balance between the fields of this planet and you. And you can do that by breathing, you don't need a system. Many, many people over centuries have managed to levitate. Levitation is the position on the matter state of the inertia of the body of the man, not in the dimension of the soul of the man. When you understand that the strength, you can tune into it very, very easy. It can be done, and it's been done by many people. You change your breathing, and then change the position of your soul in respect to your heart, which creation of the soul of the physicality, and then you find out you create a gravitational magnetic field which elevates you. But because it's based on the field strength of this planet, you levitate. You cannot fly into another dimension in space.
Mr. Keshe, we had a question during the plasma group in regards to showing, call it powers like that, and whether it's considered not ethical exactly, but okay with the universe, I guess, to show such things, or is it part of sort of does the ego get involved with that, and we have this thing where it's not good for your spiritual growth to be showing such powers, let's say?
No, why not? If you can use it for the benefit of your own soul and not damaging other souls, why not? Should not become the point of arrogance. It should become the point of humbleness.
And perhaps only through humbleness it can be achieved anyways. Is that somewhat true?
In so many ways. Humbleness comes the point of a giver, not the taker. And humbleness comes through understanding I possess none. I'm just what I call a medium, a point of transferring. Claiming possession is the end of the possession.
Claiming possession is the end of the position. That's what
Possession. When you think you possess is exactly the time when you do not possess anything. And that's the time whenever mankind so many times fails. You will see a lot of world leaders, when they get to the point of leadership, they do not want to leave. And that's exactly the time when they lost the power. They come in with the love of the nation, and when they think they've got the power, they want to stick to it. And that's the time when the nation turns back on them. It's in many world leaders, one by one. It's very much in understanding the totality of the operation of the soul of the man. When we understand it and become humble enough to be able to interact with it, it's the time when we become humble, when we don't need to, when we know it's there if we want, but it's not for us to use. Then you can do anything. In the setup of the new systems, as I was talking to John, in respect to the Arizona New Health Center, which is the property has been purchased and now is going through its phases for the machine to arrive. The setting will be in a way that if we can structure a center point, if we manage to structure in the what we call centers where we put these systems, not only by entering into the system, but by structuring the position of the systems, many people do not need to enter the system. The environment of the system will create the same condition of the elevation. The understanding, and this is one of the reasons we don't let groups, individual units to be sold, is because of the structure will bring a position of the environment or the condition of the elevation of the totality. And then if we set up enough of these points around this planet, in linking up, the elevation of the soul of the planet and the mankind will appear at the same time. Because the soul of the man has not reached the critical mass, as I've said many times before. And these systems are developed to achieve that. And then we can position them in the right positions around this planet, which we have chosen very hidden way. A lot of you don't understand. And that helping hand for the elevation of the soul of the man and the planet will come sequentially and simultaneously. You could not do it. We gave you the helping hand. And this is the reason we insist on minimum 3 units, because it creates, if you remember the star formation with 3 bases, the upper base comes connection between all the systems across this planet. 0 time communication. 0 time loving mankind. And if we increase the base, the more powerful the system will come. Now, maybe for those who like to have by 1 unit, why we tell you we need 3. The 4th is connection with the other systems to create what we call the star formation, to bring the change on this planet. As I said before, I'm a very clever teacher. And I know how to get you a lot going, that collectively we change everything together. It's no use just elevating the soul of the man when the planet suffers and the rest of the creatures of this planet. It's exactly the same. You don't understand. We know the pattern. And we set it up. And you not knowing it, you enter the cycle. You create that cycle that it leads to the next step. You find out many of those who have entered in the first cycle of buying these systems, they don't want any financial return. They're just happy that the system will bring to free some people from pain, and it brings the condition that it brings peace. But we set it up this way. The 4th is the connection with other systems. And at the same time, the 3 creates the environment of the base of the star formation, as you understand. This is why when people come to us and say, I can afford 2, we say foundation will support a 3rd one, because we know why we are doing it. We are making a starship out of this planet, that we change the soul of the planet, that we achieve our goal. Then you will see all the souls will shine, be it the ants, the lion, the fish, or the man. And even the soul of this planet will shine. The light on this planet will look different from outside, and even for mankind, once we achieve that point. Any other question? Now you understand more where I'm taking you, huh? I'm a shepherd with a nice stick, and I know where to herd mankind. The exact light, perfect, what say, fun to be in. Any other question? Or has mankind run out of question?
It seems we have a very quiet crowd here currently. You don't see any hands up. I will remind the attendees, as always, you can put your virtual hand up. Oh, I hear a voice.
Hi, it's me, John.
Hi, John.
Hello, John.
Because the units are all made from the same source, is it true that in Arizona that I'll have a connection to the units in China or in
Of
Iran?
course. Of course. How do you think I'm setting you up?
Is it also true that I would be able to travel to China, for example, from one machine to another?
Silence.
That's what I thought.
You got to realize John is our partners in Arizona with 10 units, which is going to Arizona for the development of what we call the technology. And it'll be the beginning of the collaboration between the Chinese, what we call development of the space technology. And in so many ways, as the Arizona is in a way the operation between Keshe Foundation and the what we call the American authorities. It'll be the beginning of the peace. You will understand very soon why we allow and we go this way. Arizona is the center for the next step for space development with the American government and the Iranian spaceship program. We are playing a very tentative way, but the Arizona Center, as John knows, is the beginning of demonstration of the new space technology, which brings the collaboration between the Iranian, Chinese, and the Americans. And we need these kind of collaborations, not through the government, but through different arms of the Keshe Foundation. And in a way, as we said, we start governing, but people don't understand how we govern. And thanks to John, you will see the first steps. And in so many ways, as what John was trying or is trying to say, he wants to play me, beat me up, escorted to China. And you're going to watch where in China you're going to land. And if you land in China, would you look like the John in United States, or would you look like a John as a Chinese in China? That's one thing mankind has to understand. So, and then it comes the position when you arrive in China, as you travel to the dimension of the soul of the man. Do you need to learn Chinese, or would you speak fluent Chinese as you arrive? Because the school of the thought will be done the dimension of the position. Then you understand why we created Universal Council members. The travel through the dimension of the new system is exactly as I said before. When you arrive in planet Zeus, you will not look like a man. You carry the soul of the man, the understanding of the kind line of communication, but you manifest in the dimension of physicality of the time and the place. And do you need to learn Chinese when you arrive? Or Chinese is part of the language of translation of understanding the line of communication of the soul of the man. Traveling becomes very interesting now, John.
I thought I had to pack a light suitcase.
Depends. Do you want Chinese clothing or American clothing? It's no use being in China with American clothing. Huh? You need the Chinese suit the way I have. I've developed a new Chinese suit. When I got the tailor to make it, they said, this doesn't work. And when he made it, it's a very nice Chinese suit. One day I'll wear it, you will see. It's Westernized Chinese suit. You can still wear a tie, but still you have a Chinese outfit. Any other question?
My name is Keshe.
Ah, the one with the wings. Hello? Hello? Are we there?
You still there, Azar?
Hello.
Is
Hello?
Hello.
is yeah,
Hello,
we're
yes, Azar, we
hearing
can
you
hear
now.
you.
Sounded like you have a connection problem with your microphone. But
She's got a
go
wing
ahead.
broken. She cannot
Yeah.
fly. Partially she does.
Can
Have you got your wings back, Azar?
Not yet.
Not yet. You're still grounded.
Yes.
Ask the reason why.
Should I ask you?
No, ask your soul. You're trying very hard to reach it.
I already got it. I know where I'm going now, so that's not a problem. You know, in 303, you talk about this, something you talk about a couple of times is about plasma, and your famous drawing that you make a bigger plasma and a smaller plasma. The bigger plasma gives to the smaller one. You make two circles, if you remember. Okay,
I
so
do a lot of that.
okay, so you draw that from the bigger plasma, it gives to the smaller plasma. So the smaller plasma with what is given, because it has something in them, because with that, it has enough, or it has something that bigger one needs. So I was trying to figure out the analogy of it. Say I want to make, say you are the bigger plasma, and I'm the smaller plasma. And then I want to make qurma sabzi. But then you have the lamb, I have the vegetables and beans and lemon and salt and pepper and turmeric, yeah? And then if I don't get the lamb, I cannot make it. But then when you give me the lamb, I have the other essential. When I make it, I can feed you. Is my analogy fits the picture?
Two things. First of all, you have to explain to everyone what the qurma sabzi is. Secondly, they can make a vegetarian qurma sabzi too, but it depends what gives you the pleasure. But you have to understand, the only way man ever elevates, any being in the universe elevates, is humble enough to accept that he's always the smaller plasma, even though he might be the bigger. This is the point of maturity. Then you always have a position to find position in respect to other souls. Doesn't come out of the arrogance of being the bigger, comes out of the humbleness of being always weaker, that I can elevate to the position of being. Somebody's microphone is open. It's a very, very tricky job. It's like being a professor in mathematics and trying to teach a 6-year-old boy about 1 + 1 and trying to understand what he makes 2. And I see myself a lot of time in that position. I can teach you everything, but you have not learned the facets of being 2 and how 1 + 1 makes 2. There was a time, there is a clicking in the background. I think Azar still wants to fly.
Yeah, it's her.
There was a time when
there's a problem there.
Yeah, there was a time when the soul of the messengers of the past met. And in that process, every soul of every messenger was trying to show his humbleness. And something very interesting happens between the meeting of the souls of the, what we call the prophet of the past. They realize they only shine when they're in the presence of the Creator. And then they realize they all shine the same. And from that point, a decision was made that to shine on humanity, the soul of the man on this planet, the same. One day, mankind will understand this. And then one day, mankind, through the light of the path, will come to shine as one. And that becomes the humbleness of the soul of the totality. That if mankind is looking to elevate, and as John said, can travel to the China, then in the time of the trouble which is pending for this planet, the planet will find the totality of the new position and the position in the universe. There is a lot of misunderstanding about how man needs to live. When I explain to you how you transfer yourself into the spaceships of the universal community without building what we call the spaceship, should come from the humbleness of the man wanting to be elevated, not getting strong enough to be pulled. It's a misunderstanding of the human race. As I said many times to Caroline, I've come here to taste the love in the dimension of physicality. The beauty of loving and the beauty of those who possess that love to be able to share it. If mankind understands this, the soul of the man is already elevated to be a passenger of the universe. To many of you, these talks looks like a talk, but very soon you will go through every word of it. What you missed, because you see part of it, you'll be hungry to understand the rest. Don't look for the translation dimension of physicality. Understand the position it brings for the elevation of the soul of the man. Then you'll become what we call the travelers of the universe. Then you understand what it is and how it is. Is understanding the position, how you elevate the soul. And you allow that soul to understand its own weaknesses. As you heard last week, I invited the Dirk Loressons to join us to finish the book on the pattern. A few of the Keshe Foundation, called knowledge seekers, wrote to me, Mr. Keshe, how can you do this? He's done so much damage. I explained to one of them, he was born to do that. That was the destiny, by elevating the position of it. It was a test for those who are going to fail, not for those who already succeeded. In so many ways, Dirk Loressons always used to say, I'm here to protect you. That's my job. By setting up all these things, he protected the foundation and the work of the foundation for those who could harm, without him knowing. Because those who were true knowledge seekers ignored the false calls. Those who were the knowledge seekers to gain something for themselves without contributing to humanity fell in the path. In a way, he has served the purpose. And now it's time to finish the job. It's understanding the position which counts, not the position. We haven't come here to gather souls. We have come here to elevate the souls, that they find the path themselves. Otherwise, it will be another religion, another what I call building and temple. And as we said, we made the knowledge for the temple of the soul of the man to be within the man, not within the block, a house, a key, and a church and a mosque. If you go to the city of Seoul in South Korea, you see something very funny. The first time I could not understand, but after it was explained to me, it made me laugh. If you walk around Seoul, when I was there years ago, you see a lot of red crosses, like a church cross, on different high-rise buildings. And I asked the guy, he says, what are these? He says, these are churches. I said, what do you mean they are churches? He said, these are buildings, rooms in the high-rise blocks that the Christians use as a church. Because they can't build any more churches the way we have it in the West. So now God is on different elevations, in different floors, distance from the earth itself. Some are on the 50th floor and some of them on the 10th floor. So now the church and the path of the belief has already found its way into space technology of different floors and does not need to be attached to the ground. So mankind has already taken the first step to become the Christians of the space dimension, but they attached it into one floor of what we call high-rise flats or the blocks. I wonder if those who are on the 54th floor, then the churches on the 30th floor have achieved a higher elevation of the soul, or is it only in dimension of physicality of a red light, as it is in Holland on the red light district? Prostitution of the faith of the God in the name of the cross. This is what will come to understand. Mankind has got to be enlightened by the truth itself, not by putting God in different dimensions as it suits him. And I wonder how many crimes has been done in each elevation. Soon mankind will understand. Any other question?
Mr. Keshe, can you hear me now?
We always hear you, but we sometimes try to ignore you because you go too far one way or the other.
Mr. Keshe, I haven't asked questions for so long, so I want to ask.
Yeah, because they cut your wings off.
Okay, so when you talk about,
I can hear Rick laughing in the background.
Yeah, I deliberately opened the microphone to just sort of laugh along there. It's funny, and keep going, Azar. We really love you, and thank you for all your questions.
okay, so the way I see it, when you say, there's a couple of them. When you say somebody's soul is beautiful soul, so does it mean we have ugly souls?
No, but you have the soul which does not understand the level of giving.
Because if I'm correct, the way I see it is like this. Like right now,
Yeah, we're going for Qurma Sabzi again.
no, the physical. So if you look at the physical, so the way this is the way.
Let me explain psychology behind. No, you're not gonna go. I'm gonna explain something before you do. Let me explain to those who don't understand what Azar relates the Iranian food, and especially this food, to her analysis of the understanding. In the Iranian culture, when you make this, we call it Qurma Sabzi. It means when you fry everything that it can last. And you only make this when you have a special guest. This is the creme la creme of the Persian cooking. When you invite a host, this is the time when you give everything. And this food, this dish, has a special psychological, what they call lock in the Iranian mind. So that's why Azar analyzes with this food, because she wants to give everything. So the mind only works because she can work in that way. That I want to give everything, and I want it to be the best. And you find out people, women, housekeepers, work for days to make the best Qurma Sabzi when their guest comes. And you can smell it from miles. And when it's cooked in an apartment at the bottom, the one on the 50th floor can smell it, because it carries a wild, what we call herb, that smells, odor goes right everywhere, and it stays on your clothes. If you come from a house which you had that, it says, oh yeah, the Qurma Sabzi. You carry the essence of the pleasure of the food. So now you understand why Azar keeps on connecting to this. Carry on, Azar.
Mr. Keshe, I smell it here in Sweden, and I will send my address to Azar to send me some.
Carry on, Azar. Have we lost her again?
Getting that static where your connection is not quite right. Oh, heavy static now.
Can you
Whatever
hear?
you just did was connection.
Was the right thing.
So the way I look at it is like this. When I look at the physicality of human, imagine there's a concrete block. Everybody is in concrete block. The soul is inside of it, so you can shine. But if you make that physicality soul like a glass, then you see the shine of the soul, because the souls are shining, but it's in concrete block. If you make it like a glass, like in a glass you are, and also the way I look at humanity right now, everybody is looking through a window. Again, if you see the a warehouse is a thousand has a diameter of 1,000 kilometers, and in this warehouse everything is available to all of us. But each of us sitting in this wall, concrete block, and each of us, according to what we think and what we feel, have two only maybe brick of them removed. For example, if you look at President Trump, he only the block, from his wall, the only two brick that is removed is power and money. So he sees through that window. But if he knows, understand, if he shed that wall, everything, not only money and power, I mean, is more than beyond the power and money is available to him, but he doesn't have understanding. And each of us.
No, let me explain. You chose the wrong person for analogy. A lot of people don't understand why Trump behaves this way. If you understand, or we try to understand the behavior of this individual, It's very simple. He had a very successful father. And the success with the father came through dominance of understanding the totality. He has forever from the time he received the inheritance or before, tried to say he is better than his father. And this is what most of people don't understand about this man. He is a failure in understanding his own failure. This is a pattern with successful fathers. And we see the same pattern with the failure sons. You got to understand why this man behaves this way. He from childhood saw himself as a failure in comparison to the father. And everything he does, he's trying to prove to himself that he has more power than his father, that he can prove to himself he achieved more. This is what people don't understand about this man. I always say, the father who makes a business because he had to build a business, he knows all the tricks, he knows all the ways. He has mended his ways to become successful, eliminating the failures or being able to handle the failure points. A son who has just seen the successes never understands how to mend it. That's why this guy, whatever business does, he fails. They say, how do you make a millionaire out of the farmer? You start with a billionaire farmer. And this is that farmer. This man has no understanding of the truth of he's a failure. His battle is not with humanity. His battle subconsciously is to prove to his father, I'm better than you. I became a president. Now I can show. But in fact, his presidency was the failure of totality of his work. Before, and if you see, he's brought his nation to the same point of failure as his businesses. All the big businesses flourish with the first generation. 80% die with the second generation because they don't know, they've seen it, but they never run it. And 100% of the, or 95, 98% of the businesses die by the third generation because they are just interested in spending the money, not how it was made. This man is a test for the Americans to find out how, what they call failure their nation is. They made a failure out of their nation. It's the same way. We will see this in China very soon in the next 2 generations. The families, the sons of these 30 millionaires they built up, most of them will lose everything and the nation will take a dive. Because the soul of the sharing, working is not there. Don't ever use what they call Trump in your analogy, because this guy is just proving that he's a failure by failing trying to prove that he's better than his father. He's done nothing else. You know, if you look at the whole of his career, he hasn't achieved anything but battling inside to show I'm better than the man who made me. And this is the point of his failure. And he hasn't understood this. The rest of it is monkey business. A failure who covers his failure after failure after failure. His battle is not with humanity. His battle is with the soul of his father who created him, and he was very correct and successful businessman. The rest of humanity is paying for a failed man. He is battling with the soul of the father. But in fact, he's destroyed the soul of a nation for his own misconduct. If you put him in a concrete block, open it, make it of a glass, you cannot change it. That soul is what we call entangled to the point of trying to show he's better than his father. He has failed his own nation, and he reached the point of failing the human race. People don't understand how much damage this proving to his father is better than him has cost the humanity. He brought us to the verge of the Third World War. He will not be the president next time unless he wriggles and wiggles with the polls. We look into the next president of the United States, if this time goes right, to be a woman. She'll emerge in the next elections, or she'll come in as a vice president and then move into the president's position.
Mr. Keshe, we had a question from Freed in the live stream.
Let Azar finish the question.
Okay.
Carry on, Azar.
So, Mr. Keshe, so, you know, the way I see it, because when I say elevation of the soul, is all about, even if I give you another analogy, say my physicality is 100, and my soul, because I put it in this block, is 20. But if I let go of my physicality, become 20, but my soul become 100, then I can shine. So,
oh, you're so wrong. That's exactly where you're so.
So, okay. So,
if your physicality is 20, your soul is 1,000,000.
okay, so I mean, in a number, maybe the description of the number may be correct. So if I become 20, my physicality soul, and my soul become 1,000,000, then I can shine. But if my physical soul is 1,000,000, my soul is 20, my soul is going to suffer.
It cannot be. It cannot be. Your soul is the creator of you. It cannot be weaker than you.
No, it's not, Mr. Keshe, it's not weaker, but I put it in a way that is not shining because I put it in a cage. That's what
No, gotta look at it that way. If you're analyzing that way, when you have a sun with all his might shines or radiates his field, when it comes in touch with a weaker earth, shows the beauty of its light. You understand? Is the presence of the weaker which shows the beauty of the stronger. If you look at it, Earth is a speck of dust in the side of the creation of the sun. But how does it come shine so beautifully when you get the daylight? You understand? The sun needs the earth to confirm its existence, and through that point, the weaker shows its beauty. I hope you understand that. Those of you who don't understand what it means, Johnny's means my life. It's the gratitude to existence in the Persian language. John means life, somebody who I share my thoughts and my life with. It's a term of communication. Okay, would you like to read us the next question, please?
Okay, this ties in with what you're talking about with Trump and the next election. Freed says, Mr. Keshe, can you tell us a little bit more about Marianne Williamson, who runs for the presidency of the USA on a politics of love? It looks like she prepares for a healing of the American soul.
we got to understand the most wounded nation on this planet is the American nation at the moment. We say in French, you know, the French women, they in last century didn't have the money to buy the rouge to make their cheeks red, that they looked healthy, because the red cheek was a sign of healthiness. They used to pinch their cheek to go red, as they have used the makeup. And this is how the American status of economy and life is at the moment. By pinching themselves, trying to show they are, but they are not. The nation needs to look inward to find out what is done wrong to the other nations. And in that process, start loving itself for the sake of to be loved by the others. If you speak around the world, and there was some statistics done, the most hated nation on this planet is the United States at the moment. And the Americans don't want to understand it. A survey was done by what do you call those who are understand this, that no nation ever has been hated and despised than the American nation ever on this planet. The amount of war they created, the amount of mayhem, and the amount of abuse. And maybe there is a need for such a person to bring the nation to understand it needs to be allowed to heal itself. Not out of arrogance, but by loving other nations that they love, that it may come back to them. Look at this planet, across this planet, from South America, go right away across East Asia, go right across through Middle East, go right across through Europe, Ukraine and the rest of it, Yugoslavia and the rest of it. We've seen in past century a trail of murder, killing by one nation. As I said very recently, high-level bombing became the pattern of high-level bombing themselves. And maybe there is a need for this platform for people to be conscious of what they've done. If Americans get to know what and how people think about them, how they live with them, Americans will not do what they're doing if they are conscious of it's important for them to be loved. Look at how many orphans sit across, let me count, nations after nation. Afghanistan, Iraq, Libya. Most of the South American nations, most of the African nations, most of Far East nations. There's more or less no nation that America has not carried out murder. And how do you expect the soul of this nation to elevate or to reach any point? Maybe there is a need for it. But on the other hand, do the nation understand, or very few trying to carry the rest of the nation, which is heartless to love? Estimated 80% of refugees, orphans, in the past 60, 80 years is a directly caused by the Americans. But the governors do not tell that to their peoples. And then you understand what is about to come to this part of this soul of this nation. They need they would like to work on a platform of they tried the race to make the blacks united, maybe the love will bring them together. But sorry about this, I have a very bad flu. It's understanding the why and where this nation is going. You've got to understand there are 3% to 4% of the total population on this planet. They're the most bankrupt nation, and by fear and tyranny, they have caused a lot of mayhem trying to show they're a superpower. And the whole thing is that sooner or later it will collapse. It cannot hold. This is what I was explaining to. If most of the people understand what is about to come in the next few years, we see the beginning of it. Cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency, if you look, is how much I can mine and how much I value that mining. But the next step for cryptocurrency is how much do I worth for the time I put, and who's prepared to pay my currency. In a way, without banking system realizing, individual evaluation of the cost is coming into play. I value myself. I'm a street cleaner. Without me, you have nowhere to go. I'm the office cleaner. Without me cleaning, you work in a pile of God knows what. So what is important for me is how much do I worth, and this is my bank, this is my cryptocurrency. I like to live in a comfortable life. I like to have a house. I like to have a car. Then I start valuing myself. Maybe $1 million, because without me you can't have. This cryptocurrency, which is taking place by imaginary mining, will change into a reality of the worth of a man according to himself and what we are prepared to pay for it. And more will see this. And then you understand why we brought in cash coin. Point of reference, equal in everywhere, that we can balance it out. This is why we don't allow cash coin to what they call to be speculated on. We could see this when I set it up. I could see this coming up, and then would be prepared to buy any American cryptocurrency individuals because they are the cause of so much mayhem. What we call individual cryptocurrency, according to our worth in contributing to humanity, is inevitable. Because what we call the actress or actor president of United States took the backing of the greenback from gold. You can do whatever you like. Now we saw, because of that, years down the line, cryptocurrency came, that we value who's digging what you're digging. Why should I rely on somebody else to dig to value what I can buy from it? What I contribute, what is my value, how I value myself, and how others will value me. And we see a change. You soon, in the next 10, 20 years, you will see this change. Now there's nothing back. This is why I was explaining yesterday, BRICS is taking so much hold. BRICS is trying to bring back in the realistic value of a nation according to what the nation contributes to humanity, to its structure. And we'll see this. This is the evolution, and then it comes in a distance time when, what, how you give to me through your soul that I can exist, that I can give to the others, then the cryptocurrency becomes nonsense. But we see that phase coming in. Individual cryptocurrencies, surgeons valuing themselves. This is my value you want, this is what I want. In a way, becomes valuation by bartering the essence of the existence. And then everybody will live a normal life. You have the food to eat, you have everything else. Because then, through your own cryptocurrency, you can give yourself loans, you can give yourself credit line. This was tested in a very wild way in Iran. And we've seen the results of it. And it created a mayhem for a while, but they got hold of it. After the Iranian Revolution, anybody could open a bank. Anyone with power, any Ayatollah, any mullahs, anybody with thing, opened their own banks, and they had their own printing machine. And they printed. If you open bank with me and you wanted to buy a house for $1 million, I printed $1 million, I gave you $1 million. So you had a reference of the bank to do it. And the government, after years, realized that all these heads of different sections have their own bank and they print what they like. And it added to the speculation of the prices in Iran. So I wanted to buy land for 10 million. I asked my bank, just put the paper in there and print it or sign for it. And this, this is what will come, how we value it. Can we accept this bank? Can we accept this cryptocurrency from a bunch of people working on a computer chain and working on a man's effort? This is how we set up Cashcoin. Now you understand how far advanced we are in this setup. And that's what we said in the Keshe Foundation. Everybody in time, in the very time, will be paid according to the Cashcoin. Where do you want to exchange it? Your worth of the money never drops. It's always the same value anywhere you go. And then, do we need to pay, or we balance exchange? You work so much in the factory, you value yourself. I cannot go bankrupt because your valuation dictates what we can get for other efforts from the others. And you watch the conversion of the imagining cryptocurrency of mining to the reality of the effort of the man encrypting and developing his own way to serve people and how he evaluates himself. Then you find out a lot of the street cleaners will give themselves the same wages of the kings, because they want the same comfort, and we will respect them to give them, because without them, you can't drive down the street. When I used to be in the world of business, I used to give annual bonuses, and my rule was very simple. The bonus gets cut right across all the workers the same, and the management never liked it, because they thought they are the cause of all the success. So I always told them, if that lady wasn't there to clean your office, you couldn't maintain somebody to say that you're successful. So her cleaning your room, her cleaning your office, even cleaning your toilet, that when the people come here in the prestigious office, is her, not yours. And if mankind realize this, we enter a new dimension. And this cryptocurrency is the beginning of, why do I have to buy something that I don't even know encrypted? I encrypt my value. I do a surgery, this is my value because it gives me the lifestyle I want. And then you find out to the point that everybody has what they want. Gradually we have a mayhem time. And then we reach the point that everybody respects, everybody lives a life. And then with the new technology we offer, then you understand, do we need the dimension of physicality, and the maturity of the man will come. Any other question? What I would like to do, if there's no question, there is a point which we want to bring into the discussions of the Keshe Foundation knowledge seekers. As you know, the KFSSI, the teaching section of the Keshe Foundation, finishes tomorrow for this year. Next semester or next year, as we go from January to January, we change the pattern of the teaching of KFSSI. What we are looking for is participation of knowledge seekers in developing into research and development, and in the process learning more from each other. And we participate in different form in different projects, which is your interest. We would like this year to start maybe with 5 or 10 topics, see how many people would like to be part of it. And we set up a structure for you to be participating inside it. Which means as knowledge seekers, you've been what we call as undergraduates. Now you come to the graduates, to postgraduates of doing research. Some of you like to do the theoretical background research. Some of you would like to do the studies inside the Keshe Foundation in the respect of what the topic could be. Or some of you are the practical one who want to, what you call, make something to show it can be done. There's a room for everyone. What we are looking for, we'll post the link, is the topics of what you like to research in, topics of what you like to do in that research, what you bring in, and we put it on the KFSI page that groups of you who like to be join into the research and development. And in that process of research, we go into the high level that and just making ganses and diagrams. And maybe in that process, if the team decides, they will go and to do whatever they like to do with the foundation, with their work. We have to go this way, that we encourage new, what we call enlightenment in knowledge, and a new understanding for the knowledge seekers. And in so many ways, the group can come and report in teachings and come and take steps in what they want to do. And with this process, we facilitate all the facilities of the Keshe Foundation, the research and development. If you want to do a theoretical work on what foundation does, and a group of you to get together, or interpret it, or make systems for different application, you're quite welcome to join it. And the next sessions of KFSI, after finishes tomorrow for this year, is research and development. It does not to be a physical system. It can be understanding of a process in trying to achieve something which has been something which could not be done before, and understanding the totality. It's like if you ask Azar, she wants to know how to make a tooth, that you don't need to drill it and whatever. Put a team of people who would like to understand how to grow a tooth and go through the teachings, go through understanding of working with the dentist, understanding it of it, and make a project of it. And we'll see after the end of the year what it is and how it is. And maybe you want to develop a technology or systems or pieces that it can prove it. And then we make it and we send it to Azar. She can test it on her patients or other dentists. Or you want to develop a new communication system. It's got to be, we have to go into that phase. What we will see in the coming time, many governments will start teaching the new plasma technology from first years in the school, because they're realizing that this technology taught and changing the mind of those who've been taught one way or the other from the beginning is getting hard. So we want to look at how we set up the education pattern of the future in the schools, if those are you are educated minded. How should be the books be? How should be the education side be? If that's a project for some of you. How do we develop the first systems and tools that understand the position of the soul from the beginning? We don't need to let them to go to the place that then the church and the mosque and the rest lie to them. This gives the strength of the man. This is anything which could be 5 or 10 topics. If you're a KFSSI knowledge seekers, you have a common chat room, put it on the chat in the KFSSI. And then see who joins. You can be in part of 2 or 3 different groups and bring the knowledge from one to another. It's more or less hands-on research development. If you make one group, doesn't make, if you make no groups, doesn't make any difference. And if you see it that you want to develop these things, go back into KFSSI and put your idea and see who's prepared to collaborate and how you want to collaborate. And goes the same way. You can come 9 to 5, discuss it, what is what you want to do, and see how many people join, set up. And if it means we make different classrooms at the same time, 9 to 5, the energy group, the scientific group, the one who want to make a dental equipment, the one who make, and we allow it to grow in that platform. And you can go to any of the platform to see what's going on. Maybe you can bring a knowledge from one to another and you see it. So if you're a knowledge seeker or you want to be a knowledge seeker in KFSSI and join the research and development, it could be a utensils in the kitchen, or it's something you imagine can be done in the house. Can we make such a tool, or would it have such an effect? And then at the same time process, you might learn something about gas making and the rest of it. If you need to understand it and progress it. So please go to KFSSI and try to put your ideas and see who's joining different idea groups. And even 1 or 2 people, you can do the research and keep on putting in there till others see, oh, maybe somebody finds it. And in the Thursday teaching, we try to elevate these topics that other people might not know and they want to join. They join the KFSSI and add to their knowledge, or they bring part of their contribution. They've done something, they want to increase it. One thing we are not trying to do is to make people who become dominant and they try to become the heads. This will not work. We block these things from now on. As we've seen very recently, they come in, nobody ever listened to them in their life, and being heard in Keshe Foundation gives them the false sense of I'm the Keshe Foundation. I do everything. If I go, the whole thing collapses. And they find out after 3 or 4 weeks, there is nothing collapsing in themselves. We've seen this quite a number of times of people who misplace their own position. And they come into the teachings and then we give them a room to become a teacher or something, and then they think that everything, without them, everything falls. Foundation will go for the life of the man. And it doesn't make any difference. I don't think anyone battered and did more or tried to do more damage than Red Circle. And with it, he brought more in. People don't understand how we were served by this. And how governments start looking at. And in a way, the harm was planned to be done, has done more success, has brought more people. It's become a point of judgment of people judging themselves. And we need these points. But some of you who think you suddenly, just because you taught to or you been moderator in a couple of classes, now you can do whatever you like, now you're the God, it's in your imagination. I always say to my children, a man with the knowledge is within him and he carries it for his life. A man with the title is the placard on the door. Once he leaves that door, does not exist. And if knowledge seekers understand this, we progress very, very far. You're a minister as long as you're in that room with that placard outside. On the street, nobody knows who you are, except the knowledge you learn to serve humanity and be there to help someone. You don't carry the placard in front and back of your sandwich. I'm a minister, I'm a doctor, whatever. The strangest thing is, have you ever been on a flight? 100 people, 200 people, and somebody has a heart attack. What does the air hostess do? Are there any doctors on board? Nobody knows who you are unless you stand up and say, I'm a doctor, I can help. And it's the same with the society of man. Unless you're a doctor who had a heart attack yourself. And that happens to a lot of people who misposition themselves when they come to the position of being given the freedom to be able to show their beauty. And they find out their beauty become their demise because he was always skin deep. So if you are knowledge seekers and you want to enter the world of research and development, but internationally with all the Keshe Foundation supporters, and if it goes further in physical research development at the site with Keshe Foundation Research Centers, in the Keshe site, put your name and what you want to do. Try to explain these other things needs to be done in this paragraph for first year. We can extend it to the second or the third year. It doesn't need to finish. But unfortunately, we have a very bad problem in Keshe Foundation is that we have no papers that we can produce. We can't afford any papers to write. You have a PhD or master's from Keshe Foundation. Any other question? There is something else I forgot to tell you. Hopefully next week we were trying to launch it today, but the Keshe Foundation team is stretched to the maximum. They've been working around the clock. Next week we will open the store of the Keshe Foundation. The products are ready. We were hoping to go today, but there is some points left to complete, and the team is too exhausted because of other things happening in the background. Next week we launch the products of the Keshe Foundation, the new products with the catalog, and all the products will have a CE and American certification that can be sold around the world. And please understand, we try to convert technologies understanding to new products you've never seen before, or you have seen, and we deliver it to a new dimensions. As I said, we keep our prices to $9.99 to $19.99 for the new first range, and if we go back on top for the other products, everything has been in the first batch kept to that price. The only thing we have is the shipping, sometimes more than the cost of the product, and this is what we're trying to fine tune to be that at least we find parity. It's the same with everybody else who ships, but without that we have premium prices too. You can buy like a knee pads for $9.99 or $19.99. You can buy a lot of our patches, which used to be crazy prices, which was going on. Now we have reallocated a new product. They're all brought in at the reach of every man. Unless we go into distribution of direct distribution, that will happen. And our major distribution will come out of Italy. We put the products at $9.99 retail in all the chemist shops. This I will explain to you how it's going to come. And we make sure that across Germany, Spain, and what we call Northern Europe, Italy, France, we can keep this distribution across pharmaceuticals. I have a long-standing relationship with one of the biggest chains of pharmaceuticals in the world, in Europe, and in speaking to the board of directors, management, they are prepared to look at the new products of the Keshe Foundation to be in over more or less 50,000 pharmaceutical pharmacies across Western Europe. These are old friends. And now that I've taken over, we make sure everything will be at a margin they can run and we can run, and bring it gradually into the product range of the pharmacist. And everything will be that price. Unfortunately, we tried to do it this week that you build up, but it's just the shipping, trying to sort out the shipping that is, what do you call it, within the parameters. The product is cheaper than shipping, but we have to see how our team work. They've been working flat out to get this sorted. But the products are ready. It's just that we sort out the shipping and we'll go out with it. There'll be new products, what we call, there'll be a section in the Keshe Foundation from next week, hopefully you will see. It's for what we call cottage industry. As I said, and I wrote into the Brazilian chat, you produce something at home, a pillowcase or whatever, in Brazil or in France or in Germany or in China, for shipping ganses and that kind of thing across the continent, it becomes expensive. But this allows cottage industry, local cottage industry to exist. So Keshe Foundation website becomes the home of the Keshe Foundation knowledge seekers cottage industry. Please make sure everything is within the regulation and certification if it needs be. And we try to support you to build this up. But there will be charges for what we handle, or you leave it to us to price it and you get the benefit of it, how it's agreed. And we build this up. And from next week, you make gases in United States, and shipping gases in the States is easy, but across the border is different. Put your products on the Keshe Foundation website. We put it there. There is no certificate. These are the conditions. And if you have a website and you sell maybe 10 of one thing a year, with this large website, you might sell 100. It might give you a better living. And this is what we're trying to do. If you develop the technology and you think it can be used, we look at it. If you're making it, put it on the side. We want to create what we call Alibaba Plasma technology, of our own technology. And this will be expanded. I've spoken with the webmaster. We build it up as you are. Don't worry if somebody else makes the same gas in Brazil, but they could be 1,000 kilometers away. People who might come to you and buy it from you, and it's there. We try to bring senses and support to the people who worked and developed and want to develop this technology. And if you make a mistake, it's your problem. That don't go too far, that you can think you can do everything. Do very little things, ganses, but other things you make. It's not competing, is making the market aware of the technology. And this awareness brings certification for us around the world. So if you're in Philippines, if you make a paint pen, if you're in Thailand, you make a paint pen, it's sold, delivered in Thailand. And you go through the website and try to be correct with the foundation. You'll find that you do dodgy work and you do this and then go behind. I do my own things, blah, blah. You'll find that you last a very few. So as of next week or so, wherever you are a knowledge seeker and you produce something, or you think you can produce something, you need help of the foundation, get in touch with us. We provide these facilities, and we make the Keshe Foundation website a home for the products of the Keshe Foundation around the world. And we operate it, but it has to be within the rules and regulations. If you make a flower pot, if you make a vase and you can sell a few, just take a good picture of it, explain it. And when the customer receives the good, you get the order, then we release the funds, both ways. And this way we bring a new dimension that the Keshe Foundation, what we call the creator of the GANS technology, becomes the controller of the GANS technology and marketing it through with the knowledge seekers. And this process I explained sometimes go start. Now from next week, we allow you to do this. We start building the platform. It's going to take years to build. It's going to cost a lot of money to do it. But this way, you want a patch, you want something locally, you want to see what it is, you want to support your local producers, you want to support agriculture people who use your technology, all that is now feasible and doable. So we put this on, and we saw this week one of the Brazilian groups, they said, oh, he's here fishing to steal the technology. How can I steal the technology when I gave it to you? You are stealing, and then we don't need to steal. We gave it to you free. And it's your responsibility to what you added to the knowledge to put it back in that others can enjoy it. But you don't have a platform. You might sell a few pieces. Keshe Foundation website is international. Millions of people come and go, and the more we put, the more people will come and go, and the more it gives other people to live off. We came to this understanding of doing it this way for a long time, but when I spoke with Portuguese group some weeks ago, and then we realized many Portuguese were given the certificate by Kevin Blundell that what do you call it, agents or whatever, and they use this, and many of them, when we got it analyzed by Rui, the what do you call it, Universal, at that time Universal Council member, that it's the only way of living. And if it's the way the knowledge and the work of Keshe Foundation has become part of your living to feed your family, let us help you to have a more comfortable life. That you get a bigger exposure, maybe more orders, that if you're selling 10 pieces a year and living something off it, now you sell 100 pieces a year. We are not jealous. We want to support you, that by you putting more materials in the market, it becomes known, it becomes part of the culture. I have had the pleasure of when you come across people who have used it. Because they've seen the benefit of it. We had the pleasure to be with the government officials very recently, and as somebody's microphone is open, as a man of medicine in a position of government, he said, I don't need you to explain in a way, I already use your pen pens. It's that level. You're talking at the highest level in government. We don't need explanation because we already use your technology. And it's not my work, it's your work. Is as knowledge seekers, how to spread, and now let's do it together that we can support you. You have your own website, link it to Keshe Foundation, we just pass it on to you. But make sure your products are legal, they're correct. I'm sure in the future we'll put some stats on it. If you're making, I know of people in China who make pillows and pillow covers, and they make ornaments. It's very hard to ship out of China, but inside China can bring a lot of people that they buy your products. We tried it. Now the Keshe Foundation website in China will be developed in the next few weeks. The Chinese will have the same benefit of the Keshe Foundation, the work they can do. The same outside. If you're in Brazil, go into the Keshe Foundation website in the next few weeks. Hopefully you see the site, and we put it Brazil, country by country. So if you're Brazilian, it'll be in your own language, that you can read it, and in English or whatever, that you can order and support your people, and at the same time receive the benefit of it. And then this allows a new cycle that it shows in every country. people come in, they want cancers, you won't pay. But make sure what you deliver is gives the benefit to the people that they can come back. And we've seen a lot of misconducts in Brazil, and I'm sure in the other places. One person who thought she's the head of everything, now we hear back talking about everybody that she become the only one. This shouldn't be there. We're all loved and looked after the same. And this process has to stop. If somebody buys somebody from somebody else's product in your country, encourage them. So, because you receive what is. Don't work to destroy the others, which has been the habit of the man. Build on it. And then you find out you develop more. And we learned this through Brazilians in the communication with them in past few. I know there are thousands of people in China and all over the world. People sell small cancers or whatever, and then you see the prices. Then nobody can go and do crazy things, but has to be correct. Has to be in a standard position that we all can benefit by it. And we try to make a position if something you get or you deliver is not to what the expectation, prepare to get it back. And replace it and build the relationship across with everyone else. And you give that, you want the products, this is mine, but there are more products on the site. And then we expand it. This will take a year or two to become fully mature. And our webmaster has worked day and night to get these things that they traveled to China very recently to see how we can set up the structure in China. And we are doing a lot of work in the background. And these are the opportunities which are coming back. I said before, I spent 2 years trying to build the bases in China. Now we're seeing it gradually building up and structuring up. Now we come back to build up the rest, and we see everything moving back in a very nice but very slow position and what we call development. And if you're talking to your governments, you want to back up data, we try to build part of this website, how we can help, because then people come and take things and make a lot of claims for what they've done or whatever. We want to stop this, but we start structuring to KFSSI that we provide data for those who work with the governments or the research centers, how much the harvest is done or whatever. And this is important for us. The other point is we're still looking for a large number of medical doctors to work on a full-time basis for the foundation from around about February, March, as we are delivering more and more of these, what we call universal enhancements. We need doctors to be at centers, and we need doctors to supervise in the background. The what they call the whole structure is headed by well-known doctors across the Keshe Foundation. He has accepted the position, and he would structure it the way he sees it, how to train doctors, how to facilitate that the new technologies can be developed through the technology, and everything else becomes much easier. With him taking this position on the medical side, gives you more freedom now to develop the agricultural side and the environmental side and the space. There is very easy now to what they call merge all parts of the Keshe Foundation to work with each other. And if you're a doctor and you're looking for a job, I know somebody said they've been to the website and they have to pay €100 to become a student. You've gone to the wrong place. We don't charge anything if you want to register. And these things will be set out in the next few weeks with the webmasters, that a lot of doctors or medical people, physiotherapists who want to work can go directly in, and they'll be handled totally by a separate section from now on. And the teachings are separate from the medical teaching. The teaching of the doctors for equipment will not come as part of the KF health or medical teaching on Wednesday afternoons. And because in there we have alternative doctors and the rest, we cannot have that in the application of the what we call enhancement unit. So if you're a doctor, you're welcome. We will announce, there's some people asking for the job, will be announced in Austria. This will be announced by January, what we need and how we need, because we need this, we have to set up the factory in a structured way that all the pieces for the new, what we call enhancement units completed in Austria to be shipped across the world. So we need a lot of support, and that channel will be opened up through Keshe Foundation Austria. You'll have a link most probably for the employment and how you can apply. Any other questions?
There is a question about Dan had about is what about the plasma times? We haven't had a new issue in a while. Is that going to be?
Plasma time, the past 3 issues, it's all we've done. I was talking to Ella a couple of days ago about it. We've been so busy with so many other things that it all needs to be done, and we are putting it, I think the way I understand, as she's handling it, it'll be, all the articles are there, it's outsourcing to put it together, and they'll come out in all of them in the next few weeks, all be updated. It's the foundation, since I've come back from China, is expanding very, very slow, but very solid. That we can handle everything, and this part is now, I know it'll be done in the next few weeks, complete, we'll be up to date, hopefully by sometime in January with all the issues. It's all documents, most of them are there, it's just putting it the right way.
Good, thank you. We had a question from Andrew in the YouTube. Can you ask if the Labour or Conservatives would be more Keshe Foundation friendly in England's general election today?
Ooh.
That's a loaded question in a way.
That's a very loaded question. Let me explain to you what happened. In 2015, the British Health Ministry called for a meeting of the health ministries of EU in respect to the Keshe Foundation. We are aware of it because I was informed of it. And they made a tentative decision that is a cottage industry, and when it goes up enough, then the governments will look at it. And this was initiated by the British government. The application of the new technology will come through the health of it. That's for sure. Especially with the new system, the new what we call enhancement systems, is such a big elephant that nobody can ignore it. You got to understand what it means. But we are coming in the path of the space technology. This is to develop for a space, and this will go the same way. We need to extend it, and Keshe Foundation work is known by all the European nations and most of the world governments. And it has reached the point of its international recognition. You will understand very soon what I mean. We set up the conference in Vienna, then in Brazil, and we're going to Malta. And we saw a lady from Italy who came to Austria. She wanted to show her magic work. We didn't allow her, so she went back and wrote a lot of rubbish out of her despise that she couldn't show her magic. It had nothing to do with the plasma. And we'll get this kind of what we call stupid behavior. But in general, our work through these conferences are becoming very positive. Governments are getting involved, and the first MOUs have been signed. The first MOUs with the local business people has been signed. Now we're moving into the understanding local with the governments, and we see the benefit of what we started with Vienna. Vienna has been, if I understand what is going on, very few members of the diplomatic corps who attended. They brought a lot in the background in one or two cases which we are working on. The Brazil has reached our target. We have no problem in Brazil. Our next meeting in Malta in January will bring another facet. We are targeting diplomatic connection that they hear, but we're targeting governments, and governments see it. You will hear about the success of the Keshe Foundation in the last two conferences, and the one to come very, very soon. We expect very positive results from Mexico. In Kenya, we're going there to complete. We have reached agreements with the officials of Liberian government to most probably set up the first factories in Liberia for helping the country. We had meeting with the ministerial level, and we achieved agreements in that position. We understand the gravity of how it's coming. We're looking for a conference in Philippines. In the Far East, we have a very strong Philippine groups to talk to the Keshe Foundation to set up a conference that we can be there to bring it, because I know sometimes in February or whatever, there's always usually a university conference that Keshe Foundation is presented. We're looking in the Far East to set up a structure. We have achieved our goal of negotiation with the government in Persian Gulf. So you will see very soon a structure set up as a manufacturing in the Persian Gulf. And this direct communication with the governments has given us a lot of opportunities, the new system, plus these conferences. These conferences, we prepare the nations for the next one. And while we are in, we go back. We were in Brazil 3 weeks ago for a conference. And when we arrived, and as I explained to you, we were asked to extend our stay, which we knew when we arrived it's going to be extended, and we were allowed to stay with the BRICS groups, and our talks and negotiation BRICS groups was very fruitful. And we see the next step. We came back to Brazil on what we call solidifying and building up the connections to confirm. And then you will see the results of it very, very soon. We are dealing with governments. Keshe Foundation dealing in what we call individual basis, but your work has been completed and is still completing, is developing. But with what you've done in these countries has given us the opportunity to negotiate with the governments. And one of the first things we do, we put everything on the table in respect to the Belgian situation, that they have to make a decision. And it's very, very positive, they understand. And the governments don't go to read, because the leaders, they know how it was set up. As we call it, there's a colonization through technology. Before they used to raid the countries and colonize it. Now they try to control technologies that they can control the others, and this has come to an end. And the government has started understanding how the game was played. And as I told you, we have a very strong support in our appeal in European Court of Justice. And our appeal is directly to the government of Belgium, not the individuals. Because the structure of the government destroyed documents, the structure of the government in the judiciary has falsified documents. So somebody inside has to have such power. So who is the one who got the power? And the government has started seeing it. And don't forget, we have pictures with the king intimidating with the queen. which published, where the king and the queen sit down for an hour and a half and intimidate the scientists, governments can understand, because we have pictures taken by literally supporters of the Keshe Foundation in the cafe when the intimidation was taking place. We put the whole thing on the table, documents from the people who were present in the court, and as affidavit. Our case in what do you call it, European Court of Justice is solid, and we'll see a lot of changes. And the governments are taking position in that respect, that they're ignoring all the things, but it showed the weaknesses in the structure of colonization by technology, by killing scientists. And so we are engaging governments, and the first thing we do, we put the facts. We've been committed, or a false, what do you call it, documentation is there. They can see it, because very interesting is the same case number in the court in Belgium. First one says terrorist, and the only thing they've changed when the American refused to accept me as a terrorist, they said as a scientist, they've used the same court case number and they changed it to fraud. This is the amazing thing what the stupid Belgians have done. They should have made a new case as what do you call it, as a fraud or whatever. They've used the same case number and they've changed the terrorist summons into fraud. And this has alerted the Americans very much in how it's done. And you will see it. They played with everything. And these documents are submitted to European Court of Justice. And it's amazing. They try to drag it maybe for 2 or 3 years, but the longer they drag it, the more gives us a chance for other nations to see into the operation of the collective between the Belgians and the Americans, how they have killed many scientists using Canada as a point of arrest. It'll be very interesting how it's merging, and then you will understand the daughter of how is another victim in the same process.
There's a lot going on in Canada right now regarding that issue, and they're having discussions about how to interact with China specifically in that regard right now.
Yes, because that is why the King of Belgium has made a recent trip to Canada. They're looking for sanctuary. They're looking for a place to abdicate, and because they did all the crimes between them and Canada and the United States, the Belgian monarchy is looking for sanctuary in Canada. And if you look at the report, he was there very recently, out of nowhere, because they hope. Pardon?
There's talk of other people of the monarchy wanting to settle in Canada as well recently. Yeah. We could
it's a kind of abdication. Yeah.
Influx of refugees from England. Royalty.
Yeah, but you got to understand.
All over the world. This is a big issue. You're going to have to deal with royalty refugees. They're going to need their own refuge because the people may not be happy with where they happen to end up, and totally with.
Yeah, but you got to understand. Canada has been collaborating in a lot of assassination and arrest and stealing technology from scientists in collaboration with Belgium and United States.
Yes, absolutely.
Now, they think if they go to Canada, they have a sanctuary. They will give it. But the next step in European Court of Justice, once we go through it, we have enough evidence for 7 other scientists who've been murdered through the same process. And that was directly taking the kingdom into the Human Court of Justice in Den Haag. And it's no government. There's enough evidence of the direct connection. They're trying to preempt what might happen to them beforehand. As one of the Keshe Foundation knowledge seekers says, no Belgian monarch came to Canada for 38 years. And it's a bit dodgy why you make a trip suddenly so fast. It's not just the monarchy, there are other what do you call it, presidents who are in the same position. You got to understand, when I was kept 11 days in Canada in the airport and was threatened to be killed by the Canadian, what do you call it, customs or the police, because the guy said, I get my instructions from Hillary Clinton. She's deciding your destiny, not us. And it was very interesting, because at that time when I was there was another conference of G something, and they were all there and they panicked that the Iranian nuclear physicist is there. And Hillary Clinton has a say. And we saw what happened to Hillary Clinton. Go and see what she went to make peace for the same reason. She's in a bad state of mind and mental condition today. She's near vegetation, cabbage state, more or less, whatever they can push her to move away. But these things have been bandits working together. Now we'll see. It's good for humanity. We reach a point of justice. ARC is still open in Canada. And the point of is how many other scientists have kept silence with the intimidation and arrest and stealing technology from. And this cannot be one of. We know of many. And is it worth traveling over the space of Canada? And that's why when I came to Mexico, I came through, I thought it was a safe way transit through Canada. We don't do that anymore. We take direct flights into South America, different routes that we don't need to go through criminal states. And my advice is to everyone, avoid the airspace of Canada. That's what they do. I've been a victim. Hawaii is another one. We think Canada is impartial, but Canada has become a point of stealing technologies and capturing scientists and developers. But it's part of the process of human race maturing.
Yes.
Any other question?
Dan had asked.
You're rubbing your hand. It sounds like you're cold.
No, I just relished your answer. I think I like that, so thank you. It is a little cold here, but it's not that really. Dan had asked, what will happen in April and what will come in 18 months? I think you already answered.
we are trying to negotiate with the Iranian government to show the space technology in Iran. 19, 20, 21st of April. The technology for it is available. And after January, now that I have finished with the medical side, and it's going in the hands of a very capable man in the foundation to see it through. We concentrate on the environment and the space technology which is worked on, and the rest to be. Our target is to show the what we call the enhancement unit simultaneously in 4 places around the world: Arizona, China, now Brazil, and Iran. This is important for us, that the technology is shown simultaneously across this planet. At the same time, we go to the space technology with Iran. As I said, it depends how we tune the system. Is eradicating illnesses, elevating the soul of the man, producing materials, or becoming a spaceship. Or the source of energy. This is as I said, is a universal system. It says on it. It's not the name, it's a functionality of it. In the universe, Earth rotates, creates energy, food, life, and everything else. And this is called a universal system. Now you understand more. In 18 months' time, I leave the Keshe Foundation as I am today, and I go back into research and choose a private life. In so many ways, Christ is the same, in completing his vision. And we are not here to claim position and power. We are here to go elevate the soul of the man. I take direction towards the research and development, and like many of you, live the life of man and enjoy the presence of new life. And this is what is our plan, and this is pushed one way or another. By that time, the speed of development is so rapid that I think it's time to let the man to walk and see if he falls to give you a hand. We have knowledge enough to be able to stand up, and we push it and guide it to the what do you call it? Time 21st of March 21 is my date to leave the foundation work, but we'll see if we can achieve it. But in running it, but in the background, the research and living your life will be part of it. I want to nourish a new life, which I have been waiting for, and to me it's a pleasure to be in that position. The structure of the Keshe Foundation is at this time to be solid. We saw the failures of it when I was in China, that, as I explained to Keshe Foundation management, I was expecting that Keshe Foundation people would pull everything together while I was trying to develop China and the rest. But it shows the weaknesses in the system. Now we structure it that lives as a unit, and many people take a position and control of it. I start traveling with Keshe Foundation management team in different organizations, part of it, that they start learning what I used to do. In Istanbul, meeting the world leaders, in Dubai, meeting the what we call the ruling families. I was accompanied by the members of the Keshe Foundation management team. The same in Brazil, in all the meetings, the management team sits with me. They learn the ways. It's not me anymore. And they have to learn the ways. They're the young generation, they're the next generation. And experience of lifetime with governments, I can show them, guide them for next few, what they call it, time, that they take charge, they get the confidence that they can sit with world leaders, they can sit, negotiate with what we call governors, that they can start governing to change the course of humanity. And they will learn. But this time is not when I'm stepping down, it'll be left for someone to take. I'll train the whole of the Keshe Foundation team on the top, that they teach the next generation. And it's interesting how ordinary man stands in front of the king or a crown prince or minister of a cabinet of a country, and they see themselves that they're normal people and they want the betterment of the nation, and we are there to support it. And this is what the Keshe Foundation team on the top is going through with me at the moment. They're traveling within Brazil in all our negotiations. The head of the Keshe Foundation allies with me, Stanley, Dr. what they call the communication, the whole structure Keshe Foundation with me. And the Keshe Foundation Brazil team, they learn how to handle, how to be. And gradually this transformation will come in. And the same in Malta, we expect to bring the organization of the Keshe Foundation as a headquarters to Malta. So when we meet in Malta, the head of the Chinese Keshe Foundation will be with us. The head of the Keshe Foundation here will be with us. The structure manufacturing, the management team of the Keshe Foundation to decide collectively in the location and how they're going to take the next step. And this is part of the handing over. I had one wish in my life, and I hope to be fulfilled in the time to come, and that's the time for me to step down. But still in the background to give, to support and develop, and in a way to set the structure.
Thank you for clarifying
Any
that,
other
Mr. Keshe. We had Jalal with his hand up here. I know we should let you go soon here because you've got other things to do and you are going through the flu besides. So perhaps we
Oh,
should.
it's a strange. All the men in our team have got the flu, no women. The women escaped it. We don't know the thing that deliberately went to infect men. So all of us men, we suffer with this flu, with the high fever and everything else.
So maybe we
But the
have the
women
power
are
of the
okay. We
women.
don't know why. Oh, it was given to us by a woman. I think it's anti-allergic. They know how to protect themselves.
Hi, Mr. Keshe.
Carry
Good
on.
day.
Yes, Jay. Good day, Jay.
Mr. Keshe, I have 2 questions.
You always have to. And
Yeah,
then when you finish the
20.
first one, you say, this is my first question.
20 now.
Carry on.
Okay.
Yeah.
And funny enough, my questions also regard Trinity. If I want to change the word plasma, for what I can change it? And second question is
First
that,
question, let's answer the first question.
okay.
You're asking the wrong person, or in a way, the right person. We call it a GANS because plasma has different understanding. And what we call it is a GANS. It's a nano state of gas of the field. And with this gas technology is accepted word in a lot of dimensions. A lot of Keshe Foundation people who came from outside and they knew something about Ormus, they tried to say it's Ormus, and it's not, because we can clearly show it's a matter state. But we see that's part of it. We've seen a clever trick recently by somebody in Brazil and other Brazilians trying to understand the process. They call it informed water, which you can never give information to water. So if you understand the work of the GANS, is not informed, is a strength field balance energy. And what we use, we call it the GANS water, which is actually the true. What it is a gas in nano state, and we gather its energy through filtering it or by using it, converting it. So we use gas plasma technology, or we call it the gas technology, which is accepted now by a lot of people because they understand it. Scientific world understand gas in nano state. So the one who are illiterate or people who just claim they understand something, they try to give a different name that they can use it as they have become the creator. We've seen that in Brazil, especially with Claudia. She uses this terminology to break up the foundation's men's way of mentality, and we asked her to stop using this. But in so many ways, gas is a gas. It's a gas in nano state. When you put a caustic, because of the high temperature, you pass the point of melting in a rapid heat. So you evaporize it, becomes single atom, it's a vapor of it, it becomes in a gas state. And then because of the immediate environmental coolness, it goes back, but it cannot take the molecular structure. It stays individually. And then in the next process, you spread the individually to singularity on its own, not being spaced with other elements, or other, what do you call it, atoms. And so GANS is accepted technology. We don't call it a lot of people call it the plasma. We call it the plasma because plasma is the direction of the field. But the GANS is the source of the field, it's the sun. And it's understood by scientists very correctly, very rapidly.
Okay, Mr. Keshe. The second question, when is there any influence from the twin star of ours in us, in this creation?
Yes, continues. And scientifically, a group of scientists led by a well-known scientist very recently, past decade or so, has shown that the cycle of what we see, meteorite showers that affects the condition of this planet and the whole of solar system, is when the twin star comes to close proximity and puts pressure on the plasma of this solar system and pushes materials towards the center. Yes, it does. Go
And
into
that's
the
why,
research papers, you will find out.
and that's why we
Pardon?
see, and that's why we see a lot of elevation in the human knowledge because of that.
No, this is not really, because it's according to this research, which fits actually, shows a cycle, how often the twin star comes close to us. It goes back to pointing out the position with the dinosaurs. It came through that cycle of closeness. It has a pattern. Every time they come close, we get a higher shower of meteorites crossing towards to go back to the center. It's just like a balloon. You pressurize it so everything moves to the center. The closeness, when they come very close, they get to this. But due to loss of a lot of their fields, both the stars, into the galaxy, and due to pull of the galaxy, now this solar system and its twin are in the closer into the center wing of the Milky Way, we call it. They will be pushed and they merge. And that will create a position of what we call two stars hitting each other or becoming one. But that is in the future. But it's inevitable. They touch us, they affect us, and they affect our environment. And as you've seen, a high level of meteorites moving towards, because of the pressure on the boundary of the solar system, has brought us a lot of what we call bones. We call them dinosaur bones, because that condition changed the position of the planet. And in so many ways, thanks to that meteorite, whatever condition created, allowed us, our ancestors as mammals, to come out of the holes and beginning of the end of the race, or whatever it's supposed to be, according to this, what we call some scientists. But in fact, if you understand it, and we go through the process of the human race and understanding of how there are different races of man in different planets or different part of this planet, it'll become very clear that you just needed to have one gene or one cell to be airborne and land on another condition of the same for another life in a different part of this planet to start. As we say, replication of life, once it's established, it's very easy to follow. And this is how we get fish into where there was no fish before. If you create the right condition, which was created a number of times on this planet, and if you understand that many human beings in the process of burning and ashes become the gas, cell of us carries the DNA, and if it lands in the right place, if you can understand the totality of it, it becomes the creator of another life. And then there is a further point that if human life has managed to exist here and is developed to the position it is now, and there is a parallel environmental condition anywhere in this universe, can it be transferred across through the natural natural process of the energy transfer. And then the question comes, is the life of the man originated on this planet? If we can transmute to another, to understanding of the fields of the plasma, was our planet a condition that it could be transmuted to? These will be answered by universal community as the archives of the universe will be opened.
You already answered it in your teaching.
It's part of it. Man has gradually to understand he's not the center of the universe. And the knowledge is there, is being open to understand, not open to accept. If you understand it, you already accept it.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe.
Thank you indeed. Those of our Brazilian knowledge seekers who will attend what we call the small conference we organized in Brasilia today, this afternoon. I hope we'll have the pleasure to meet you all. And amongst us, we try to share knowledge and how we can bring the technology in a faster way into Brazilian dimensions for the nation. And I know many of you have been trying to get tickets to be here, and some of you could not get because it was such short notice. You're still with us, with your soul, and hopefully as we come back, as we've been invited to be here for an international conference very soon with other world leaders to Keshe Foundation to be part of in that conference. We'll be back in Brazil in the next few weeks, and as we present the technology, hopefully in different dimensions around the world, Brazilians will be part of the structure of the spreading the knowledge in South America country. Any other question, or shall we call it a day?
There's always more questions, Mr. Keshe, even though sometimes we have lulls. I think that we should let you go, though, and I can suggest a couple of questions in the YouTube that we can carry them on till next week, perhaps.
What's out there?
Okay, you want to know? Philip asks.
You know, a lot of people complain. There's a lot of people complain, especially we had a conference in Iran, and when our moderator was trying to get as many questions, they complain she's controlling everything. We cannot answer questions. I don't want you to be accused of that. He only reads what he likes.
Well, we try to get
Carry on.
pretty much all the questions in here. Philip asks a question about Tesla erected his towers on the same earth lines as the Giza pyramids. Is this like the halo around the head where the universal fields enter the planet?
What?
Yeah, I kind of went what too, but I'll try to ask it again. Tesla erected his towers on the same earth lines as the Giza pyramids. Is this like the halo around the head when the universal fields enter the planet? Or where the universal fields enter the planet, rather?
Not really. Russians decided where his post going to be when they bought it off him.
Okay, we'll take the second question from Philip, which is says 7 sages in the ancient Sumerian texts are holding a bag and a crystal pine cone. Is this the stronger giving to the weaker, projecting the universal fields to elevate the soul, like the KFSSI enhancer?
I don't know. Depends how you want to interpret these things. And we can't interpret everything just to be the benefit of the Keshe Foundation is this and that.
Yeah, there's a lot of things in that one statement that could be taken many ways.
A lot of scientists have done the work according to their understanding. And a lot of people, as scientists, develop things they never understood. But if they could share it, would change a lot of things for a lot of us.
Mr. Keshe, we have someone named Arthur, who I don't know if they've been here before, who had their hand up for a while, and we can take a roll of the dice here and allow them to speak, if that's okay.
Keep your finger on the button.
Okay, well,
carry on. Let's see what we have.
Okay, Arthur, could you unmute your mic and go ahead, please?
Hi, my name is Arthur, and I'm from Scotland. Thank you very much.
Where?
Well, just about near Edinburgh.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, I'm born in Latvia, but I moved to Scotland 10 years ago. So staying here just now. Thank you very much for your teaching today. And I just wanted to ask you about the blue light spaceship you saw at the Brazil. And I wanted to ask you, was it a field spaceship? Like, was it made through the soul? Does the universal community made it through the soul, or is it a reactor like a type of spaceship?
We had it last night.
You had it last night?
Again.
Really?
We had it last night. Yes, I videoed it, and our head of Keshe Foundation in Brazil, we are all in the same place. He did the same. Let me just see if I can send it. That's his recording. I tried to forward it to where are you, Rick? Where can I find you, Rick?
With all the rings.
See it.
And is it still was the rings?
It's exactly the same as before.
Did you give it a name?
It was on. He took one at 23:10, and he took one at 32 minutes past 12. It was there for. It was there still. What do you call it? Let me see how I can get it more. What does more say? No. I have to do it a different way. It is just, let me see, copy the link if I do it.
Brazil, I think Brazil got many activities, yeah, like in the region.
I don't know.
Oh, I think they do. I think Brazil and Mexico, they have a lot of them, I think.
How come, Rick, I can't find you here? Oh, let me see. Maybe it's Rick. Okay, got you. Can you open what I sent you on a private chat, Rick?
No, it says I'm not a member of that chat where it was posted.
You're not. Okay. Let me me see how I can do it. Oops, I found it. Oh, you see, I don't have much knowledge of these things, but I gotta find it. Okay. You will see it. This is taken by the knowledge seekers. So let me see how I'm gonna do it. It should be with you on your chat, Rick. Let me know once you get it. It's downloading. What happened? We saw it last night. It's the second time we sit in what do you call Brazil, and I was there for about 2-3 hours. But this will become a norm, and you will see if you can see the. It's very hard to see it or record it on the camera. I think that's done a 10 second. You will see it back up. But these are what we call field center systems. Have you received it, Dick?
Yes, I'm just getting it now.
These are, this will carry on with us in every nation we'll visit as part of our international conferences.
Okay, I'll share that now.
Mm-hmm.
You see the edge of the light. It's very faint because we cannot, you see the circle. We don't have, you see the shape.
What's that like? Yeah, that's the ring. Yeah, I see the ring. That's a fade ring. Yeah, around there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the same as what we showed before in Italy.
That light is that moon? No? What is that?
The what bright light is the moon, yes.
Oh, okay, yeah. Mm-hmm. I've seen it before in Scotland as well. I couldn't understand, but I've seen
this
the fade
the
ring.
one you see the daylight. No, this is not a fade ring. This is a full spaceship. You see it. When we were in Sanya, the night when the Universal Council Charter was getting written, around about I think 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, we saw a full display, and there was we were with 2 families of what they call Keshe Foundation in different near proximity to each other. We could both see it, and it was a beautiful display, and that display will be shown very soon in another location. I know where and when it will happen, but then we can record it. You will see a full what we call a spaceship with satellite spaceships with a full operation.
So so they made the spaceship through their soul. I mean, that's a group effort. Like many souls. You
I'll
can't do.
explain this type of spaceship how it's made. When we saw it in Italy, the Italian what do you call it, Air Force with high altitude helicopters and planes were trying to look down what's in it. Actually, the Italian noise of high altitude helicopter brought our attention to see it. And these they literally jam what you call electromagnetic fields communication, but they have a zone, what do you call it, preference. And you have to fly. The aircraft lose all directions. And the structure of communication with universal community is that does not create harm to no one. And all these things before every interaction is well thought out. You will understand in the future, or mankind will understand in the future. Everything not to create any harm for any interface and interaction is calculated, is considered. You got to understand when you work on the ethos of peace, you look at things totally in a different way, and you look for the safety of the others and correct conduct first. And this is part of the ethos of the universal community. And because the knowledge is so advanced, man's knowledge, all your communication, everything is so primitive that you know, we can just bypass it and allow it to happen. But in what do you call, in the space technology developments, all these become into consideration. Thank you very much. I think we've spoken with you before with your accent.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, and I forgot to ask you. Well, we didn't have the time. We never had a really enough time. I just really want to, real quick, want to ask you. See the research and development, and we're gonna gather our groups, and maybe we'll try to just to try new things. Should we gather the group for the field spaceship? For example, should we come together and start maybe trying to understand?
That's your decision. We pass the responsibility to the knowledge seekers to decide what they want to do. So if you're a knowledge seeker, you registered and you're there, and you say, I want to test this, and the other people would like to collaborate with you, or you start it up and the other people will join and you put it back on the table. That's the decision. The decision of the research comes from your side, the knowledge seekers. We provide the facility, the platform, and the materials.
A platform and materials.
Yes, if it is something sensible, we can afford it. If you want to make a half a battleship, we don't have the money for it, we never get involved in it. But something sensible, we always look.
It has to be an effort of many sources. Probably one person can do a field spaceship. Is that correct? It's probably many people together.
Have you understood the strength of your soul yet?
Partially.
You did mention one time, Mr. Keshe, that it's often in a configuration of 4 that beings in the universe travel together. Is that still?
You can do it in different ways, depends on the strength of the mind. The original, what I call not original, the primitive first flight system any race makes is a copy of the Earth. But if you notice, we already done that with the Iranian space program.
Reactor.
Because the Iranian reactor is that phase. We try to pass as fast as possible. Some cultures, hundreds of years, relied on one single reactor. It's very effective, actually. It works very. It works very nice, but controlling it is a bit dodgy sometimes. But the star formation is a more solid way to do it. It has more control characteristics, but at the same time, the star formation has got its own pitfalls in many, many aspects, but it has a lot of advantages. So if you understand that, you can create a spaceship with muscle. But as you cannot steal, you have to see who would like to join you as a soul to be passenger with you. So you better have good lovers. True lovers. Be it the wife, be it the children, that they take that step of journey with you.
Yeah.
Enjoy Edinburgh. I
Yeah.
hope you're not a snowed in.
No, there was a festival weekend in August. I enjoyed the August. August was really nice. Yeah, but it's the winter time now, and yeah, it's just not easy time now.
I know.
It's actually the roots of my family in Edinburgh.
Oh my God, don't go there. A beautiful city.
Unfortunately, haven't met any too many knowledge seekers here in Scotland. I've heard about
I
a
think
few.
they are too busy drinking, huh?
Maybe. Well, it's just yeah. Well, I'm in a Golden Age of GANs group as well. You know, been contacting people there, and as well as anybody wants to develop. And but that's one of the problems. You can't share the knowledge when you want it and how you want it. You know, you want more people to.
I think that position will change in the coming months.
And we will find
maybe even sooner.
If you build a
you see, it's
people will show. There's a saying: if you build it, they will come. You know, if you build a center, if you even just want to have a workshop or some sort of information gathering, start talking to friends, even there's a lot of avenues that way to just open up the local areas so that people start to become more accepting. That's a big step. Ask Alex. Alex, who's Skoric, who's been you know, trying to do that in his area. It's a difficult job, but yet he now has on his wall, I think it's like 330 people in the local area that have signed the peace treaty and have, you know, at least agreed out of the 9,000 in his local area, I think it was. So that just shows it can be done over with persistence and creating your own world within your world.
Yeah, but you have to understand that Scotland is slightly different, like everybody else, everywhere else. The Scottish like the Scotch and other parts more than anything else. When you can make a Gans of a Scotch that they can get drunk faster, everybody becomes knowledge seeker. Am I correct?
Maybe that's the secret.
My son lives in Edinburgh, and I know the mentality.
Yeah, hopefully something will happen in Scotland. They're not bad people. They're really nice people.
Nobody is bad. Just find out how you can make cans of a Scotch. That he has more, and they don't have to pay for it. They can get drunk easy. So you'll find out everybody wants to know about the knowledge.
Yeah, I just wish there would be more knowledge seekers. Yeah.
Yeah, but the secret is finding how to make cans of whiskey, huh? And then you give water to them and they get drunk, and that's it. Everybody will know about the knowledge seekers. They all want to know. Yeah, the Scotch seekers they become.
Especially if it's cheaper.
It is cheaper. It's the water which makes you drunk. What do you want?
That's what I'm saying. If they can get drunk on water, they'll be sold on that.
Oh, he said, "I'll make a wine out of water." Now I make a special out of water.
Good one.
Okay, shall we?
Yeah,
Do
we
you have
need to
any other
wrap up
things?
here. Theodore's the only one who's left with his hand up here, but I know
What
we
does he
want.
want?
Let's have that as the last question. We'll have to make it quick, probably. Theodore, would you like to go ahead?
Hello, Mr. Keshe. Can you hear me?
Hello, yes. Yes.
This is Ted in West Virginia. And I was thinking about what you were saying about turning the light on within ourselves and the visible light. And then when the gentleman was speaking about the twin star coming around again, I was wondering if we were to start emitting the light, learning how to emit it ourselves, and becoming part of that understanding, would it like keep things stabilized during the time when the other planet or the other star comes around? Is that like partially a purpose of getting to that level, to like stabilize the Earth or to create like a larger maggrav field around the Earth during times that other things come around like that?
I hope your great, as many as you can put on it, grandchildren are there at that time.
Okay, I understand.
They still remember the knowledge.
Well, there's something about what Arthur was saying too about when people come together, and if if we come together with a purpose, like if we emit the light and join with the starships above the Earth, like what is the ultimate purpose there? Is everybody find like a common focus to be intent on, or is it more of like still trying to find individuality within that?
There is another way to look at it. What do you do when you go on a trip sightseeing? Do you do it for yourself, or do you do it to take a selfie to send to someone that I'm there? You understand? It's for the state of the man's soul to understand. What do you expect and what you want? You got to understand the next step beyond the present understanding is that when you manage to enter to that level of the elevation of the soul to be able to be part of these structures, then you find out these structures are connected across universe. Then you can travel different positions and through understanding this. So if you manage to get to that level of the soul, and then you find out it's not just a spaceship that you enter into web network of seeing the universe. Man will understand that as well in the coming time. These spaceships are in touch with each other, communicate and travel. So man will become instantaneously man of universe. If I tell you what will be achieved, if man can reach that point, many of you will queue up to give your life, to be part. It's not just joining a spaceship, it's understanding beyond what is open to soul of the man in the dimension of the universal community. And at the same time, if you can understand that elevation to the next level, you can travel across universes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
We call it a day. Thank you very much. Shall we call it a day?
Can I have request from Azar? Mr. Keshe?
Why, Azar cannot speak?
No, because of the time. Azar, please, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, Azar, please, if you do that, Shabzi, huh?
Uh-huh.
Can you remember my name, please?
Yes, I send it to you, no problem.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
You can smell it. No problem. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
Thank you indeed. Let's see where we achieve what we achieve, and hopefully next week it will be what do you call it? Our one of the last two meetings before end of this year of the Christian calendar, and we'll meet some of the knowledge seekers in Brasilia tonight and this afternoon in the conference, and let's see what we can achieve.
There's a question: is the meeting private? In that Dan asked in the Q&A here.
It is for those who registered. Oh, I think around about 100 people have registered to be present, and the auditorium is for about 100 people. And we are not broadcasting it. It's just for people who are attending.
Okay, thanks for being.
We do not broadcast any of the conferences. Don't forget, we had the Italian woman who was very angry with the letter to show her magic. She wrote a lot of rubbish on whatever about Austria. So we're going to get some of these people who can't get the talk, and then they have to show they exist. Very interesting. I explained before. These people come to the foundation to confirm they exist, but they use the foundation to confirm their existence. And when they don't get the opportunity to abuse it, then there is something wrong with us. And we've seen that. We asked people not to take photographs or whatever. And this lady was so adamant. I want to show my game. And then we couldn't do it because it's the Keshe Foundation, what do you call it, knowledge seekers. We are not a playing game platform. She's got very upset. You don't show me, you don't let me show my game, I'm going to do this and that. So it's good. In a way, test failure for their souls. But collectively, we do not like, we take pictures for archives by the Keshe Foundation team of these conferences, but we don't publish it. Maybe in the future, it will be published by the, what do you call, in the archives of the foundation.
Hello, Mr. Keshe.
Oh, we got somebody very strange. Would you like to say who you are? I know who you are.
I'm Lin. I just get a question
from China.
Yeah, so I hope.
Lin, let me explain. Yeah, let me explain. Wang Lin is the head of the Keshe Foundation of China. All the beautiful things you see and developments in China is through her work and hard work. She works 24 hours a day like the rest of the Keshe Foundation.
都是由他来达成的。
As you can hear, she's translating what I'm speaking to. Okay, carry on, please.
Sorry, I forgot to switch off my microphone. Just one knowledge seeker. He's asking like how the hot plasma interact with the cold plasma. I think maybe he has a wrong understanding. Maybe can you explain like how plasma interact to create hot or cold, and that could be more easier to understand.
The heat is the state of matter of the plasma. Plasma has no temperature. When you call it hot and cold, when you have a heat, what we call created out of what we understand high temperature, that's a matter state plasma. It's nothing to do with the plasma which we use in space plasma technology. When it becomes crowded plasma in interaction with each other, they release fields which in turn we see it as a heat element, a hot plasma. Cold plasma is what we call as a room temperature plasma. Or if we define the plasma the way we do, magnetic field in motion, if you have a crowded plasmas, it's a fields interacting with each other, like the earth and the sun's fields, we create the heat of the sun. But if you notice, the heat of the sun only is within the parameters of the inertial effect of the plasma of the earth, not the magnetic gravitational field of the earth. So it's primarily the matter state field, the strength of the magnetic fields. We call heat hot plasma, or creates the different higher level in respect to its environment.
Oh, thank you so much. I think that's very clearly clarified. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other question?
Okay. No, we need to let you go, Mr. Keshe.
There you go, yeah. We'll see what happens. We'll see you next week, hopefully. We will be another point on this planet. And then after that, another point on this planet. And for next months, as head of the Keshe Foundation said, we'll be living out of suitcase. But it's worth it. That the family of the Keshe Foundation is more or less getting a chance to expand and clarify a lot of things for themselves. Thank you very much for today. And hopefully we come together again next week the same time, but not what it says, the same place at the same time.
Maybe we need to pack spacesuits in our suitcase instead.
Oh, we don't need, we have a gravity spacesuit belongs to NASA. Huh? We've gone a little bit further than that.
Very
Thank
good,
you very
Mr.
much.
Keshe. Thank you.
See you
Thank you
next
very
week.
much.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for attending today's 306 Knowledge Seekers Workshop for Thursday, December 12th, 2019. It's been a broadcast of the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute Education Department, part of the Public Teachings in English. And many thanks to Flint as well for working the background images and production today. And thanks to everyone else who contributed to help us bring this message out. Okay, thanks. And we'll see you next week at the same time and place for the 307th Knowledge Seekers Workshop, as well as the KISS Plasma Reactor Group next Wednesday at 7 a.m. Central European Time. Okay, bye for now.
Hello. We are the Keshe Foundation. Our mission is to bring peace on Earth and join humanity with the universal community. We wish and work to bring man as equal to all beings in the universe. By teaching plasma science and technology equally to everyone, no one is left out and no one is abused due to lack of knowledge. By donating to us, you can help achieve this goal. keshefoundation.org/donate. Innovative, revolutionary, stellar development, purest universal knowledge. In a transformative, futuristic design. The Universal Body Enhancement Spaceship Unit. The very first new evolutionary spaceship technology has been rolled out for mass production. Our Universal Body Enhancement Spaceship Unit is constructed from high-quality materials carefully selected by our team of experts. Embedding the essence of the new GANS plasma science and technology, it uses collective plasma field technology for changing and enhancing the environment of the body of the man. This new plasma enhancement changes the environment of the body to allow it to return to its natural, balanced energetic condition, as in the womb of the mother, allowing every cell in the body of the man to find its natural, original field strength balance. The shape and field distribution in this new space plasma technology replicates the inner structure of the universe and replicates the balance fields from which the man was created at the point of inception in the womb of the mother, not only receiving balance in the physical, but also in the emotional sense too. For the first time in the history of man, a system has been developed and delivered which not only enhances the physical body of the man, but also enhances the emotional part of the user of the system, hence reducing and eliminating many problems that could not be solved in the world of science, to bring the body of the man into near perfection as at the time of birth. This new spaceship technology can be within the reach of every man today and can be ordered by medical practitioners, sports specialists and healthcare centres. The Universal Enhancement Spaceship Unit, the future you have been waiting for, is here. The journey from space to spaceship technology has started. Every order is subject to a contractual agreement and might require additional accessories priced separately for applications according to each case. You can order or contact us at office@at.kfm.global for additional information. This video gives an insight into the therapeutic progress of a wheelchair-bound subject diagnosed with Parkinson's and Alzheimer's. Male, age 58, since his late 40s has been suffering from the two aforementioned conditions, which over the past 2 years have progressed dramatically, leading to a substantial loss of control over his limbs. He was brought into the hospital in a wheelchair, unable to transition from it to a standing position, stand by himself, or walk unassisted. Holding a pen and writing was also beyond his physical capability. The processing of this case started in China in early September 2019 using the Universal Body Enhancement Spaceship Unit. The subject spent 15 to 20 minutes twice daily in this unit under the supervision of a team of qualified doctors and physiotherapists. The progress of rebalancing this condition through the use of the Universal Body Enhancement Spaceship Unit is presented in this video. Knowing that every case is unique, the duration of the full rebalancing for such a condition, while steadily reducing medications, is approximately 16 weeks. Currently, a team of healthcare professionals continues with the process and upon completion will report its findings to the scientific world. Day 1. The initial assessment. The volunteer is in a wheelchair. He is unable to take any steps on his own. Day 4. Standing up. The volunteer stands up by himself after the plasma processing sessions and takes his first steps using a walking frame. Day 5. The volunteer is walking using a walking frame. He is walking unassisted, walking outside, and is confidently walking towards his car. Day 6. Walking outside. He is walking with more ease by the day. Day 12. Plasma processing. The volunteer walks faster, easily passes through doors, and even manages to sit down unaided. Writing. The volunteer is able to write for the first time after a very long period. Day 14. Standing up. The volunteer transitions from kneeling to standing. Day 15. Ongoing improvement. The volunteer is now far more agile. Day 29. He is able to do squats on his own. Day 30. Progressing. Various exercises, such as step climbing on elevated surfaces and walking backwards, are now possible. Day 30 plus, vocal exercising. The volunteer begins vocal exercises to restore his voice and speech. The volunteer practices motor skills and hand-eye coordination using a ball. Day 36, exercising. He practices further coordination skills. He is more proficient when step climbing on elevated surfaces. Day 40 plus, walking. The volunteer is confidently taking a walk in the park. Day 40 plus, coordination. Now he is confident to resume a normal life and go shopping with his family in the crowded market. He is improving his movement coordination. Day 40 plus, exercising. He continues to exercise in the public parks. Day 42, running. Unimaginable. 7 weeks earlier, he was in a wheelchair. Now, the volunteer runs for the first time. Day 42, running. He is running longer distances with ease. Day 45, running. He quickly progresses, getting better day by day. Now he runs in the sports arena, achieving 300 to 600 meters in different sessions in a way that doctors barely keep up. Day 59, climbing. The volunteer engages in adventure park activities and successfully climbs on a net. Day 60, cycling. He now adds cycling exercises to his routine.